my privilege and pleasure to introduce the 2020 Board Chair of the Vallejo Chamber of Commerce. Please put your hands together for Shauna Gilroy.
I didn't realize how tall James was till I got up to this microphone just now. Good afternoon. Welcome everybody to the 2020 State of the City. I am so happy that you are all here today, and I look forward to the presentation on how Vallejo in Action's been taking place over this last year. While we've had our challenges in the city, I believe it's important that we reflect on all of the positive things that have been accomplished, as well as learning from our past to continue our path in growing. The Chamber is proud to bring this information to all of our members and the community, working together with the City of Vallejo. Thank you very much. And community and partners allows us to all be on the same page and to work through whatever difficulties arise and continue to move forward into the future that we want to see for our city. It is my pleasure now. You guys ready? They're not even looking. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our presenting sponsor. This is a business in our community that does so much, including helping to bring the first 5 Solano to Vallejo, which was awesome visiting last week, as well as supporting our chamber. Please welcome our presenting sponsor, Sandy Whaley, VP of Communications, and Christy Kendall, the VP of Finance from Medic Ambulance.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mayor Bob Sampayan, elected officials, community of Vallejo. Like she said, my name is Christy Kendall. I'm with Medic Ambulance, part of the family. We are very happy to be a part of the State of City of Vallejo again this year. It's a wonderful event to get updates on what's going on in this lovely city. As most of you know, Vallejo is our home base. Our corporate headquarters are on Couch Street. Rudy Manfredi, for those of you that don't know who Rudy was, or is, sorry, started Medic here in Vallejo in 1979 with his parents, and we've been thriving and loving being a part of this community ever since for the last 40 years. The mayor's office has always been an integral part of our business. It started obviously with the help and trust of then Mayor Terry Curtola, and even today, that's still true with Mayor Bob Sampayan. He's a great supporter of us and helps us in all business ventures. Last year, we celebrated our 40th anniversary. Many of you attended a celebration we had late last year, and I appreciate that. Hope everybody had a good time. 2019 was a very busy year for Medic. We had a lot going on. Obviously, we had fires, strike teams, things like that. We also got our 5-year extension for all of Solano County, which is a positive for us, so we'll at least be here till 2025. We have also continued to partner with Touro University with all the great work they're doing in educating the up-and-coming medical personnel here in the community. We truly believe that the graduates from Touro University will give back to the community that they have been a part of during their educational years, and that will be of great value to the city of Vallejo. Healthcare is always a necessity, but it does have its challenges. One of our major challenges is constant lack of reimbursement, which we are trying to consistently educate the community, as well as insurances. Dealing with state and federal healthcare systems is always a challenge, but we do strive to make sure that we work with our community, offering payment plans for unexpected emergencies that people are just not prepared for. That's one of our goals in dealing with patients, at least on the aftermath of something that happens that's not expected. As Shauna said, most recently we got the opportunity to be on the front line and helping to contribute to the First 5 Center here in Vallejo. Aaron Hannigan was instrumental in getting the center up and running to help all the families in Vallejo to learn and thrive with their children, to make sure that those families are getting the resources they need within the first 5 years of their life so that they can be healthy, educated, and successful as they get older and navigate through the world. Medic Ambulance also received our reaccreditation for the second time, Sandy, of our first reaccreditation. We are still considered an ACE dispatch center, which stands for Accredited Center of Excellence, That is something we hold very dear. We are the only ACE accredited center in Solano County for all dispatch centers, again, within our county. For that honor, we are being recognized at the Navigator Conference this year in Florida, which will be very nice. We kind of get to go to Disney World, which it adds to it. We also received our reaccreditation for another 3-year CAS accreditation, which is the Commission on Accreditation of Ambulance Services. We got a 0 discrepancy perfect score on that, so we are now accredited for another 3 years. I recently joined the board of the Loma Vista Farms, which I am very much looking forward to. My son, I have a 2.5-year-old, he goes and loves playing with the animals, so I'm really looking forward to being a part of that board. Cindy McBride is a Vallejo Chamber ambassador. She's not here today, but she is a Vallejo Chamber ambassador currently. And Jimmy Pearson was also recently elected onto the board of directors for the Vallejo Chamber as well. As you know, last year, if any of you were here last year, Jimmy got a state EMS award the previous year. Well, last year he did it again, and he got a meritorious service medal from the California State EMS Agency for his role in leadership in deploying resources to the many regional fires we had in our area. Sandy Whaley, who's sitting right here, she's now on the board for Rebuilding Together. And that, again, is another project which we have all done work days and been a part of for many, many years. And Helen Pearson is the incoming chair for Leadership Vallejo. Medic Ambulance is also still a very big part of the Robin Maccabee Fire EMS Academy, where we teach CPR and prepare our local youth to prepare for a career in fire and EMS. As all that is being said, as I stated in the beginning, we are very proud to be a part of the City of Vallejo. I myself went to high school here in Vallejo. I love the city. I see a couple of my high school alumni out in the crowd, and it's just great to be a part of this community. And like I said, we're here for at least, but hopefully more, at least another 5 years with our extension. And it continues to be our home base, and we're very excited for the upcoming events and the growth that Vallejo has on the horizon. We will continue to be a partner and an integral part of this community for many years to come. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Medic Ambulance. We are so happy that you guys are here in Vallejo. We love you guys very much, me especially. Mwah, mwah, mwah. All the kisses to the family. I am happy to introduce now our guest of honor, a man who needs no real introduction, but I'm giving him one anyways. Born in Fort Belvoir, Virginia, Bob was the oldest of 2 children. Raised by a career military father, Bob and his family frequently moved throughout the Pacific and the United States. In the late 50s, Bob, his brother Steve, and his parents, don't hurt me if I say it wrong, I'm gonna try really, really hard, Ruperto and Gregoria Sampayan, settled in Salinas, California. Bob worked his way through college by driving school buses, trucks, pumping gas, working on cars. He attended Hartnell Community College and then San Jose State University with a major in criminal justice. Shortly after finishing school, Bob joined the Salinas Police Department, then the Palo Alto Police Department, and eventually moved on to the City of Vallejo's Police Department in 1985. During his tenure with the Vallejo Police, Bob served as a patrol officer, a field training officer, and a detective. He managed the cadet program, police reserve, civilian volunteers, crime prevention unit, and the Citizens Academy. Over the years, he was promoted to sergeant and supervisor of the Central Community Substation in downtown Vallejo. After enjoying a successful 34-year career in public safety, he retired in 2006. But he continued to serve Vallejo, working for Fighting Back Partnership for 4 years, and then running for and being elected to Vallejo City Council in 2011. He continues to serve today as the mayor of Vallejo. Bob has 2 grown children, Ariana and Rob, as well as 2 grandchildren, Caitlin and Braden. He lives right here in Vallejo with his loving and very patient wife, Ramona. And their 2 4-legged children, their pups, Roxy Ann and BB. Please welcome to the stage, Mayor Bob Sampayan.
You know what's kind of neat is that I didn't have to reach way up here to pull down the microphone. as James was here. Shauna, thank you. Oh, Aaron, where are you, Aaron? I always speak after Supervisor Hannigan at every single time. It never fails. So again, welcome to all of you, and thank you so much, Shauna, for that great introduction. You know, and I want to thank Medic. This year, I'm able to climb up the stairs without assistance like I had last year when I was wearing the cast. And thank God Medic is up in front, just in case I stumble. We've already chatted about what kind of medication I can and cannot take. So again, Medic, thank you. Thank you for all you do for our community, for our county, and most importantly, thank you for being our presenting sponsor for the 2020 State of the City address. You know, as a disclaimer, I've had some residents ask why this event is not free and open to the general public. Now, I believe we've explained that this event is a fundraiser for the Vallejo Chamber of Commerce. The public will be able to view this presentation within 24 hours on our city's website, as well as the Chamber of Commerce website. And I believe it'll be on the city TV channel, cable channel 28. But more importantly, it'll be free, and you can do it at home. So, wasn't that a magnificent meal? Let's give Nicole and her team from Provisions another huge round of applause. Outstanding meal. Thank you so much, Nicole. It was delicious. So before we begin, I want to take a moment to introduce two staff members that keep the trains running and on time. Without them, Greg and I would be in total chaos. My executive assistant, Angelique Bennett. Ange, would you stand, please? And Greg's executive assistant, Michelle Straub. Michelle, where are you? There she is. Come on, Michelle. Thank you. I also want to thank the City Council and the senior leadership team for their continued efforts in moving Vallejo forward. So thank you so very much. Let's give them a huge round of applause. I would also be remiss in not introducing two ladies that make sure Greg and I are doing what is best for our community, but also for ourselves. Those two ladies are our wives. My wife, Ramona, and Greg's wife, Cindy. Thank you, ladies. You keep us on the straight and narrow. Yeah, Greg, I get it. Since our last State of the City in 2019, a lot of positive things have happened. It's about action and how action speaks louder than words. So I'm going to talk a little bit about action to show how action has affected Vallejo. And here's some of the interesting facts and figures that I've learned. I'd like you to notice that the facts I'm about to share with you are also with source information. So with that, the California State Auditor released a report in 2019 entitled Fiscal Health of California Cities. Vallejo received a moderate risk rating and ranked better than 75 California cities, including, and this is really interesting, including San Diego, Sacramento, Petaluma, Oakland, Los Angeles, Monterey, Richmond, Anaheim, Riverside, Fremont, San Jose, and Modesto. And again, the source of this information comes from the California State Auditor's Office. A little bit about unemployment. The unemployment rate for Vallejo is held steady at 3.8% and is at a 25-year low. We're tracking below the state's unemployment rate, and the number of jobs in Vallejo is increased by well over 3,600 gross number of jobs, with a total net of full-time employees of 1,700 since January 2017. Jobs are on the upswing as work on Mare Island has increased, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. We have a lot of representatives from Mare Island here in the audience, and I can't thank all of you for what you do for our community in employing the people of our town. Again, the source for this is the California Economic Development Department. High-paid jobs. Vallejo is ranked number 6 in the country for cities with the highest paid jobs by sector, and those sectors include the medical field, administrative field, and buildings and trades. U.S. News compiled a list of cities with the best paying jobs by examining the annual mean salary of each job, included in its 2020 Best Job Ranking list. They then tallied then with which cities had the most available positions associated with top paying jobs nationwide. And the source again was US News and World Report. Another exciting fact is that the Vallejo-Fairfield metropolitan area ranks the 17th richest in the United States in terms of median household income. And the source for that was USA Today. Quality of life. Vallejo is profiled as a model city for its bold vision, quality of life, an approach to social offerings, openness, and aesthetics. The source was Front Porch Republic. Vallejo is recognized as the most diverse city in the Bay Area. And again, the source is the San Francisco Chronicle. We're receiving statewide coverage of our booming real estate market. And the source was CBS. Cal Maritime ranks number 16 in the US colleges that pay off the most. In other words, highest earning potential relative to tuition cost. Yes. Joellen, very good. Touro University is increasing their enrollment and is currently developing plans for student housing and expanding programs. And the source was Shelley Berkeley, the senior provost from the college. Mare Island, one of my favorite subjects. The San Francisco Chronicle covered the Lennar Mare Island purchase by Nimitz, calling it the Bay Area Mega Project. The chief economic advisor to Governor Newsom, and I understand we're in competition with him about state of the state and state of the city. Yeah, well, you all are here. So anyway, his chief economic advisor, Lenny Mendoza, visited Mare Island recently, and he visited the different businesses. And when he and I were speaking, he called our businesses and the way we are handling the business and the opportunity zones, he's saying that we are the poster child for all of the opportunity zones in California because we're doing it right. And I want to thank Congressman Thompson for yesterday. I attended an event where he spoke about opportunity zones in the federal realm. And he too said how important we are doing and how great a job we're doing in bringing opportunity zones into Vallejo. We have 6. The North Bay Business Journal lists Mare Island and the millions of dollars in investments in Factory OS and iMod structures as a top Bay Area economic development story in 2019. Fox News has featured stories about Mare Island Brewing. Kent was in the room. And the growing craft beverage industry in Vallejo. Again, the source was Fox News. Factory OS completed a construction project in Oakland in just 10 days and is continuing to sell their modular homes throughout the Bay Area in California. They're expanding their workforce and leasing additional Mare Island space. Southern Land Company, SLC, is now the 4th leg of the Mare Island development stool. They're joining the City of Vallejo, Nimitz Group, and HOK Architecture. They're a national real estate developer headquartered in Nashville, Tennessee, with regional offices in New York and Denver, Colorado. SLC is led by CEO and founder Tim Downey, and their holistic business model enhances results by creating unique projects with long-term viability on which investors, residents, and partners can rely. They currently have 18 projects in the pipeline valued at over $2 billion. I'd also like to give a shout out and announce today that the City Council has just given direction to the city team to begin negotiations with Holiday Development and Factory OS to bring a 130-unit mixed-use residential and commercial project to our downtown. A proposal will be coming before council and ultimately the Planning Commission for the community to be engaged in this transformative project in our historic downtown. So more on that to come. Those facts are exciting, not only for us to recognize, but for our community to be part of and to celebrate. Sustainable economic development has been our goal for many years. And with all the challenges we've had, we're beginning to see the real development moving forward. It's not just Mare Island, but it's also the east side of Vallejo with the Cook property, Blue Rock Springs, the Solano 360 project, the fairgrounds, and other areas around Vallejo. Everything north of Vallejo is being looked at for further development, and plans are being presented to our planning and building department. This is really an exciting time for us as we're catching that economic wave. What I'd like to do now is talk about the City Council's Tier 1 priorities that were set at the 2019 goal-setting session. What we wanted are, 1, complete development agreements. In other words, get them done. There were so many that were out there that we looked at and said, hey, let's move this stuff forward. Let's get it done. It's part of the economic engine of Vallejo. Improve relations between our police department and the community. Streamline the development process review. Improve technology. And let's grow youth opportunities. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these individually. I'm going to chat very briefly about each one. But I'm going to talk about the departments that made them happen and what their current status is. So let's start with complete development agreements. The City Attorney's Office co-wrote the consent of transfer agreement between Lennar Mare Island and Nimitz. The CAO also authored the amended and restated exclusive negotiation agreement for Nimitz on Mare Island. Our CAO also wrote the term sheet for North Mare Island and the Nimitz Group. The negotiations are still continuing, and a finalized option agreement will be completed by the end of fiscal year 1920. The City Attorney's Office has reviewed and provided legal analysis for the documents associated with the Northern Waterfront Callahan entitlement process, and they've worked with the various state regulatory agencies for the approval of this project. That would be Parcel A. They're involved in the ongoing negotiations with Vallejo Marine Terminal and the State Lands Commission regarding survey outlining of property ownership. Our Economic Development Division has facilitated the transfer of Lennar Mare Island properties to the Nimitz Group. They've also facilitated and supported the Nimitz Group at the completion of the Mare Island Master Plan and are negotiating the North and South Mare Island agreements. ED is continuing to support Lennar and the U.S. Navy to complete the environmental cleanups on the remaining properties. And the next item is really huge for our community. We hope to identify and negotiate an agreement for long-term management, maintenance, and operation of the Mare Island Regional Park. We anticipate a spring 2020 reopening with the selection of a long-term management team by late 2020. So stay tuned for more on that. That is really exciting for our city. We also need to identify a marina. Somebody's having a heck of a time with silverware back there. We need to evaluate a marina revitalization plan to include dredging, rehabilitation of the marina as a whole, advertising, and its occupancy. We need to continue and prepare for the Central Waterfront Phase B garage funding using state regional Measure 3 funds, grants, and other federal funding. If Congressman Thompson were still here, he had to leave for another event, I'd be pointing at him and saying, Congressman, yes, please. I'll be traveling to Washington, D.C. this spring as the vice chair of the Solano Transportation Agency to lobby for federal funding for these projects. A couple of weeks ago, we, the STA, lobbied the State Transportation Agency, specifically Secretary David Kim, to explore extending the SMART train from Marin County to downtown Vallejo, which is a transit hub, using existing tracks that are currently here in our community. This would become part of the Capital Corridor train service. Secretary Kim was so interested, he's sending his vice secretary to meet with me to explore this possibility. So staff, be prepared for some exciting times when it comes to transportation. We hope to improve relations between police and our community. In our police department, we hired a new police chief, Shawnee Williams, who's here in our audience this afternoon. We used a community-driven process which allowed the community input into the selection of our new chief of police. I want to say it worked very well. We have an outstanding new chief. So welcome, Chief Williams. The chief has partnered with the Robbie Pabletti Foundation, hosting gun buybacks, doing community outreach events like late night basketball, youth reading programs, National Night Out, canine trials, picnic with the cops, and waterfront weekend. And one of the things that's important for transparency is that they have created a monthly at-a-glance of the department's Operations Bureau. Statistics are open to the public, and these statistics include calls for service, arrests, year-to-year comparison, and use of force incidents that are captured for public record. Our city attorney's office has been very involved with the police department. They've implemented training to educate our police department staff regarding the new laws involving transparency of police records. They've developed and presented training to the Vallejo PD command staff regarding the new use of force laws, AB 932. In our human resources department, we as a city has come to the realization that recruitment and retention of officers is a nationwide issue. I've spoken with mayors from around the country and have learned that we are not the only city experiencing these difficulties. Today's young people don't want to be police officers, and as such, recruitment has become difficult. With that said, HR is in discussion with Chief Williams about recruiting and retention strategies. Some of the strategies that have been discussed are offering signing bonuses, offering employee referral bonuses, hiring extra help officers, reevaluating qualifications, and rethinking outreach and advertising. It's safe to say that under Chief Williams' guidance, we'll be moving this police department forward. And Chief, I can't thank you enough for what you're doing for our community. We're also streamlining our development review process. This is something that we have heard a lot about, and I want to thank the Chamber and our city manager for making this a priority. This has been an area that's been needed for many years, and through the Chamber's ad hoc committee, working with the city manager, economic development, and our development services, good things have happened. In fact, the Chamber recently conducted a permitting survey which found that City Hall is becoming more efficient and delivering greater customer service to the community and its development partner. One of the best things that's happened is that the stigma of not being business friendly is quickly becoming a thing of the past. And because my office is right next to planning and development, I'm not getting as many people knocking on my door that are angry about the way things are going. Gillian, you and your team are doing a phenomenal job. Thank you. Our Economic Development Division. As the process evolves, ED is currently working on downtown incentive packages to develop a plan to reopen closed buildings, something that has needed to happen for many years. So I'm excited to see that moving forward. Looking at opportunity zones for Mare Island, the waterfront, historic downtown, Sperry Mills, and the old Kmart site, as well as the Northern Gateway sites. And again, like I said, I met with Congressman Thompson yesterday at a roundtable to discuss strategies regarding what is called O-zones. Economic Development has initiated a fee assessment and evaluation to benchmark Vallejo's competitively with other cities. So the fees and so forth are going to be discussed. Our Public Works Department now has a new cloud-based construction management inspection software that allows for documenting construction activities in the field and has dedicated engineering staff to attend meetings with developers to help them through the preliminary planning and permitting process. Our fire department is looking at a fire protection engineer for City Hall permitting to complete that one-stop shop. And our Planning and Development Services Division has completed 5 phases of the zoning code and will be placed into action in September of this year. Project updates for this last year, well, last 6 months. 117 new projects with more than 4,000 permits issued in 2019. That's huge. That's huge. Revenue for development projects. This is an amazing number. More than $4 million. $4 million. Building permit revenue, over $1 million. The one-stop shop I was just talking about, all departments, with the exception of fire, are in the planning development counter. Fire will soon be there. So moving to the next level, updating customer experience with an updated check-in system. Reevaluate the counter to facilitate fluidity. Developing GIS mapping for real-time information for residents and the business community. Our water department has also been involved and has added an engineering tech to the development counter. And they're participating in meetings to ensure water's key role in that process. Thank you, Mike. They also participate in the quarterly chamber meeting. The engineering manager also participates in all economic development meetings to anticipate the needs of developers and provides leadership and coordination for citywide GIS. Improved technology. I think this one is one of our real bugaboos, but it's moving forward under the direction of Naveed Ashraf. So thank you, Naveed. Sadly, we've had some difficulties with our entire system, and it's called age, so I get that. A lot of our technology goes back over, believe this or not, 3 decades. 3 decades. And it's been just a stopgap to keep it working. Each department has needs that far outweigh our resources. The upside of this is that the city has hired a new IT director, Mr. Naveed Ashraf. He and his team have evaluated the systems and has invested in IT staffing to reorganize the IT division to better support the city's needs. The division's reorganization is expected to be completed by the end of this year, and Naveed has identified opportunities of innovation, efficiencies, and improvements. Our immediate needs are in the public safety radio system, which will require a complete upgrade. Additionally, a new financial data system is also in the pipeline, as is the new GIS platform. These process improvements will afford better safety for our police and fire personnel, better citizen engagement tools, website enhancement, and efficiency of operation. Technology is ever-changing and quickly advancing. So for us to keep pace will be a challenge, but I firmly believe we'll keep up. One of the big things for me is growing youth opportunities. And I've always said that youth are our future. I absolutely believe in that, and therefore I encourage youth development and education at an early age. Those young people will be sitting at these tables years from now. They will be our leaders. They'll be sitting in my chair. They'll be sitting in Greg's chair. They'll be sitting at the council dais. They'll be heads of our departments. And what's important is that we have new programs for our young children and that we applaud them. Man, they're having a heck of a time back there. We must also concentrate on continuing education for those young people that may not be interested in pursuing a college education. I've always advocated for the Trades Academy, specifically for that reason. That said, here are a few examples of some programs that are in the pipeline. Our community development and housing division in October of 2019 worked with housing and the CMO staff, the city manager's office staff, to meet with the Building Industry Tech Academy to explore the Trades Academy in Vallejo. The next steps are to work with the school district and Solano Community College to assess the viability of this program. We've also partnered with Solano County and a nonprofit to apply for housing vouchers and case management service for youth exiting foster care. Our fire department has retained summer youth interns. Our human resource department has sponsored a summer internship program and signed on an MOU with Solano Community College for student interns. Our police department has 2 college interns working in the administrative section, evidence, crime analysis, and community service. PD has also hired 7 cadets additionally since July of 2019, and they've hired a former cadet as a police officer. They've allowed cadets to provide assistance to our schools along with our school resource officers. Our Public Works Department has partnered with Solano Community College to provide internships to students in the automotive program. We've also hired a college engineering intern and are working with the Vallejo High School Engineering Academy to partner with students in the STEM program. These 5 items have been given top priority by staff, and I'm extremely pleased with these Tier 1 council priorities and that they are moving forward and being completed. These accomplishments go a long way of moving Vallejo forward. Now, there are 3 other organizations that work to partner with the city in service to our community. First, Vallejo Flood and Wastewater. Under the expert guidance of Director Melissa Morton, this agency is responsible for keeping our wastewater systems working 24/7. Our ever-growing city has had its challenges with aging infrastructure, but Melissa and her team continue to make sure that our wastewater is properly treated and released. There are multiple projects and upgrades in the plant that will continually assure that we stay within state and federal guidelines. I also want to add that they keep up with the many miles of canals that storm runoff goes through and keeping it clean and free of debris. It's a huge task, but Vallejo Flood and Wastewater is always on top of their game and up to the challenge. Flood and wastewater is a critical part of our community and is doing an outstanding job. So thank you, Melissa, to you and your team. Next is the Solano County Transit, or Soltrans. Beth, where are you? I know you're there. There you are. Their executive director, Beth Cranda, keeps the buses moving, so to speak. Soltrans has been providing transportation since 2011. And before that, it was 2 separate transportation agencies, Vallejo Transit and Benicia Transit. And in 2011, our 2 communities formed a JPA, which is now Soltrans. There have been significant changes in this agency since Beth became the executive director. They have adjusted routes for better efficiency. They've all but eliminated diesel buses, replacing them with electric and CNG vehicles. They've expanded the downtown transit hub and are preparing to break ground for the York Street extension, which will be this Monday. The bus stops are being evaluated for improvements, including shelters, comfort, lighting, and aesthetics. And now there's new technology available to assist riders with real-time information. The list goes on. And Beth, I'm proud of you and your team for your accomplishments, so thank you so very much. This partner has been an integral part of Vallejo community since 1944. For decades, the Greater Vallejo Recreation District has provided a multitude of activities for our community. And when I say community, it's for all of us. It's for all of us and all ages. From aquatic programs to yoga, to baseball, to kids programs, dance programs, music, and outdoors, GVRD and their board and their executive director, Gabe Lanous, ensures that our 20 neighborhood parks, 4 community centers, and a swim complex that is now being refurbished are open for our residents and visitors to enjoy. I want to add that I'm in conversation with the Nimitz Group and Dave Finney about the GVRD Sports Center that's on Mare Island. We're going to be looking at alternatives for that facility and working on a solution that I hope we'll be able to announce soon. So I'm very thankful to Nimitz for looking into that for our community. So thank you, Nimitz Group. I know that I haven't covered all the providers that keep Vallejo vibrant. To all of you from the Senior Center, Meals on Wheels, private youth organizations, our many, many community volunteers, the faith community, several pastors in the room that I want to thank. Vallejo City Unified School District, our charter schools, our 3 colleges, and all of you that make up our network of providers, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are all stars for our city. As excited as I was about our accomplishments for 2019, we still have issues in our community that we're concerned about. One of the biggest is our homeless and unsheltered population, which is unfortunately growing. But we've partnered with our local hospitals, Kaiser Permanente, Sutter Solano, and North Bay to build a navigation center to provide wraparound services for approximately 125 individuals. Sadly, there's a point in time count of approximately 600 plus homeless and unsheltered individuals in our community. This includes a population of homeless children that have been separated from their parents. These young people are couch surfing with their friends for day-to-day existence. Our housing division, thanks to Director Judy Shepard Hall, and our homeless coordinator, Rachel Frederick Vijay, are working on programs to assist this particular population. We're also looking at supportive housing projects to assist the elderly and veterans. You know, this is a national phenomenon that will not go away anytime soon, and I'm thankful that we're looking at this as a regional issue. We're also involved with other cities and counties in search of regional solutions with out-of-the-box thinking and funding. Another issue that just absolutely yanks at me is blight. As I look around our community, one of the things that I find so depressing is looking at the trash strewn about our streets and vacant lots. Is it a lack of pride, a lack of values, or a sense of entitlement that cause people to litter or dump truckloads of trash in our alleys and back streets? A couple of years ago, one of our groundskeepers superimposed the amount of trash they collected in 1 calendar year. There was enough trash and garbage to cover the entire Marina Green up to 8 feet. So I mean, that is significant. And you know, it cost hundreds of thousands to clean up and remove this unsightly blemish from Vallejo each year. And I'm thankful for our city's groundskeepers and the many volunteers that spend countless hours picking up after these thoughtless individuals that think the public streets are their personal trash can. I also want to give a shout out to our police department and our city attorney's office for investigating and prosecuting illegal dumpers. Another issue that I have is youth activity. How often have we heard from our young people, there's nothing to do here? And I think we've all heard that. Sadly, some of those young people are so bored that they've become involved in illegal activity. But I'm thankful to the various groups that recognize this problem and take the initiative to help with this challenge. From the many faith-based organizations to public and private groups, many are making a difference. But as the old adage goes, it takes a village. I know I said it earlier, but our young people are our future, and it's our responsibility to teach them, love them, nurture them. So, to those of you that are involved in youth mentorship, Thank you so very much. Lastly, and I've said this time and time again, is image. It's a stabbing sensation when I hear Vallejo being slammed. For years, we've endured the negative image of being a gritty military town where anything goes. For some, that image still remains, and for those people, their expression of our community will always be negative. And as I said previously, we have a lot to be proud of. Yes, we've got our bumps, but we as a city have come a long way. We've turned the financial corner, and our future is now. It's today. We are a proud, diverse community with great things to offer, from our weather to housing to entertainment, to beautiful vistas, to our close proximity to various recreational activities, to warm and welcoming residents. We are Vallejo. To all of you in the audience, we are the ambassadors for this great community that many of us live and work in. It's how we represent Vallejo that will make or break this community. Every day, each one of us reinforces our communities with all the positive things that we're doing and doing now. Again, it's up to us to say, we are Vallejo proud, we are Vallejo strong. With that, thank you so very much. I would now like to call up Madam Chair, Shauna Gilroy. Shauna has an exciting presentation she's going to make that I know everyone will be excited to see. Miss Shauna. Oh, yes.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay, you're going to have to pull this up.
Okay.
Okay.
Vallejo, California, on the water, on the move, with Mare Island, Six Flags, Discovery Kingdom, 3 universities, and more. We are one of the nation's most diverse communities that enhances and celebrates the legacy and spirit of everyday people. To create our new logo, the 5-member Branding Creative Committee recruited local artist and community influencer Miro Salazar, who has created many art pieces that can be seen all around our city. His design captures the spirit we as a city represent. The curved stripes indicate Vallejo moving forward. The colors represent the different elements we're accustomed to. Green for our hills, purples and blues for our sky and our water, the yellows and oranges for the sunsets we all know and love. And for some engaging fun, Miro added a hidden Easter egg, incorporating the word Vallejo in Morse code, paying homage to our rich naval history. The very spirit of the hardworking, talented individuals that represent our community and push our city forward live in this logo. Our spirit, our energy, our passion radiates throughout and beyond the Bay, which is why we are Vallejo, California, Spirit of the Bay. Whether you're talking about it, you're living in it, or you've experienced it firsthand, there's an undeniable spirit, an energy in the city of Vallejo. It keeps us moving forward. It pushes us to work harder, celebrating the spirit of everyday working people. And one thing is always certain, that Vallejo has a spirit that's unparalleled, unequaled, and underestimated. From our prideful history since the early days of California, to our rolling green hills, our beautiful waterfront, and every breathtaking sunset, our impact can be felt across the globe, be it from the influence of the Mare Island Naval Shipyard, our famed celebrities who never forget the spirit of our city, or to those who continuously do their job anywhere here in the Bay Area. It's the spirit of our people, the spirit of community. It's Vallejo, Spirit of the Bay.
So I am so excited to have the honor of introducing this to you today. Branding is not just about a logo and a tagline. Branding is so much more than that. And like the mayor mentioned, people's thoughts about Vallejo aren't always positive. So this branding is going to help us get back our reputation and explain to the world who Vallejo really is. So the lifeblood of a community's fiscal and cultural vitality is our residents, our visitors, and our businesses here. Reputation is one of the most important and elusive influencers on any community, including ours. Community branding is a process that looks at our existing reputation. It uncovers our greatest strengths and our weaknesses, and then brings it all together through a compelling, consistent graphic identity and an action plan that integrates the brand into everything from policy making to infrastructure, and most importantly, public opinion. Branding is a new way of thinking and talking about Vallejo across all platforms through all organizations and businesses. Vallejo is growing now after overcoming some challenges, and this community brand is a way for us to change some old perceptions. It allows residents, businesses, organizations, and the city to have a well-defined position of pride to work in a uniform platform for all collaborations. While not everyone may love the logo or the tagline, the entire community will benefit from a strong, singular brand and help us to make Vallejo stand out. This project started in 2006 and has been through many ups and downs, including much input from community study sessions, multiple community organizations, and the City of Vallejo. A partnership between the City of Vallejo and Visit Vallejo has spearheaded this project from the beginning on a quest to find the Vallejo spirit. It concluded in 2019 and was presented to City Council earlier this year. I want to thank everyone that participated in making this happen, including the logo design from local Vallejo artist Miro Salazar. I look forward to working with this community brand and spreading all of the good news that we have about Vallejo. I would like to show our Vallejo pride with every resident, business, and organization moving Vallejo forward and really helping to unify the spirit of Vallejo. So everybody, Vallejo, spirit of the Bay. Thank you to everyone. Are you inviting Greg? Okay, perfect.
Just want to do a couple quick thank yous to the folks that made this event happen. You know, they put in countless hours of bringing it together for us to enjoy. James Cooper, where are you, Jim? There you are, James Cooper. Shauna Gilroy, our chamber chair of 2020. I call her the get her done lady. Yeah. Tina Fowler, where are you, Tina? A chamber member. Mike Brown from Visit Vallejo. Jackie Arnold, past chair. Jackie, yay. Manny Angel, the man behind the curtain. Where is he? There he is. Joanna Altman, Michelle Straub, and Angelique Bennett from the City of Vallejo. Naveed Ashraf, the City of Vallejo IT Director, and being assisted out in the audience by Cody. And lastly, and very important, Slater Matsky, who inspired me by helping me write this speech. Slater, where are you? Oh, he's back in the kitchen. You're the one who's been dropping all those forks. There are many more people, but it's safe to say this event wouldn't have happened without all of you. So thank you very much. And now I'd like to invite up our city manager, Greg Nyoff, and will join me at up here on stage for some Q&A. Greg.
Thank you, Mayor. City Manager Greg Nyoff will join Mayor Sampayan on the stage here, and we will now proceed with the final portion of our program this afternoon. So this is a Q&A discussion. So the Chamber in late January conducted a survey asking our members what sort of questions they would like to have asked today. There was a series of voting, and I will have these questions in front of me in a moment. We will ask the Mayor and the City Manager to go through them. On your table, you will also find question cards. If you are listening today and you're not hearing the questions that you want to hear answered, addressed, I encourage you to fill out these cards, leave your name and your email. These will be given to the city, and they will respond to you in due time. Okay, with that being said, welcome City Manager Nyoff. Good to see you up here. Is your guys' microphone working here?
Thank you, sir.
All right, there we go. Very good. So, Chamber of Commerce members, in being surveyed about what sort of issues they would like addressed in our state of the city, really focus in on two subjects primarily: safety and economic development. So we're going to start with a question on safety that touches on the topic of both crime and business. And this is addressed to both the mayor and the city manager. They can each take a whack at answering this if they choose. So here's the question. Vallejo businesses, both large and small, are negatively impacted by the rampant crime that is targeting businesses. It creates safety issues for both customers and employees, as well as catastrophic business losses. What is city leadership doing to mitigate this growing problem happening throughout the city?
Yeah, I'm going to take a stab at that. Thank you very much. First of all, it isn't just about the police department preventing crime. It's about everyone becoming involved in crime prevention. It's about each resident, each business, each citizen becoming involved in crime prevention. That when you see an issue occurring, that you call the police department, you dial 911, and you keep dialing until you get a police response. Again, it's important that we all take the initiative to prevent crime. There's been some conversation about reforming the Business Watch program, more neighborhood watch programs, with education going out to the business community and to our residents to help with this crime problem. Now again, this is not just a City of Vallejo issue. This is happening nationwide, but it's up to us as residents of this city, as business workers, as people that are involved in the Vallejo community, to take the initiative in crime prevention. Greg, do you have anything you want to add?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you all for being here for the State of the City address. It's second year, it's my second year, and continue to get to know more of you and appreciate all of your enthusiasm about where our community is going. And I will tell you, the optimism remains high for where our community of Vallejo is going. So, you know, James, that's always a good question. We always get that question. I spent quite a bit of time this morning actually talking to the police chief, because what we learned last year is how can we give you some concrete answers to these questions? Because you want to know what are you going to be able to do? What can you expect from the city? And I think we've got a new police chief. I appreciate everybody welcoming him. I absolutely believe he's going to do a great job for us. A lot of what he's very good at is community relations. So he started out by saying, I need to listen, I need to speak with different sectors of the community, different stakeholders, and including the chamber, but different business associations, to hear what are those issues that are most affecting you. So that's kind of the first step in the process. And Chief, you've been here for 3 months, 4 months? 3 months. So I wanted to be able to just give him some time to at least learn what those issues are. So I think what we're doing right now is he's taking a look at the entire organization. Basically what you get from the men and women of our police department is they're able to go for or respond to priority 1 calls, which in general, those mean something's going on at that moment in time. There's someone called 911 to say, somebody's in my backyard, somebody's breaking into my car, there's an assault going on. And so they're not patrolling our streets. That's the majority of what they're doing. So right now we're looking at some modeling for next year's budget that will look at hiring what's called community service officers, so that those officers, which are not sworn officers, are able to alleviate some of the pressure from these officers who are having to respond to all calls, and be able to actually start responding to business calls, to homeowner calls, instead of many stories about not getting a response or multi-hours. We'll be able to do that better. And so that's something that we're looking at right now as a department. So again, presence and actually having people respond, take your call, and then deal with the people that are actually causing the crime is something we're going to look at. I can't skirt around the issue that's most important for me to say, and that's the fact that there aren't enough resources in the police department to attack these problems. And I'll just use yours specifically to really get with the downtown or any business group and say, let's sit down and let's figure out a community policing program or a plan in order to do that. And so again, that's something in the horizon, but what I believe I'll be doing with the city council is recommend that we look for additional sources of revenue through a sales tax measure here in November. We've done some polling, and what we see is this community knows and understands there's needs for more policing. And what we want to do it community policing related. So that'll be a decision for council in the future. But through that, we would hope to remodel how the police department works. That is, yes, we absolutely have to respond to crime, but we also need to be community driven. We have to be building community relations, business relations. And I will just say, watch over the next 6 months as we unveil that plan for you with our new chief and how we're going to go about doing that. I think the other thing we're trying to do right now, and Senator Thompson, or Congressman Thompson being here, is get a grant through the federal government for cops, which hopefully we'll be able to apply for very soon. Again, trying again to increase the number of officers that we actually have out there to serve you. So that's a tough one, but I think what's going to happen is, again, we'll turn into a little more, not just police sworn officers responding to calls, but community service officers where they're actually responding to businesses and community members. Mayor?
Great. Okay.
Thank you. The Chamber of Commerce had a discussion about this very point at our annual planning conference last November, and the board was very, very interested in being a supporting vehicle for whatever you need to do when it comes to hiring more police officers and especially getting them to respond to the businesses as fast as they can. So thank you for that. I want to shift over to economic development now. So this one's a fairly short question. What are you doing to make sure downtown thrives again?
Well, I stated in my presentation that our Economic Development Division is looking at programs for the downtown so that we can get some of those buildings reopened so that they can be reutilized. There's many different things that can go into our downtown, and a lot of it is going to start with attracting different kinds of businesses, different kinds of uses for those buildings. I know that Annette Taylor is already involved in programming, putting together a program where we can open up some of the empty buildings. I know that the bank building is one of the first ones they're starting with, and my hope is that it will continue all the way down through the rest of town.
So one of the things I really appreciated from the chamber and from James is they asked you these questions before we got up here. And, so why that's important is because, obviously the elected officials, they don't know what goes on in the day-to-day operations of the city. We have 500 some employees working for us, so even I don't. So we want to be able to give you some details. So I wrote some down. So first of all, the downtown is an opportunity zone. So, we all talk about, wow, the Mare Island's an opportunity zone. So is downtown. So when people look at investing in downtown, that money's tax sheltered. I want to say that we have had some people like Cal Maritime, who's sitting here today, invest in our downtown. You guys are always applauding for yourselves. I think the mayor touched on Factory OS, but let me just say this to you. So having people live in our downtown is critically important to its success and to supporting the business community. What is being discussed is 130 units wrapped around where our ferry terminal parking garage is. Have people live there. And what happens when we see people invest in our downtown? More people invest in our downtown. So Rick's not here, but I will tell you that is a huge optimistic momentum builder for downtown. So let's keep going. So we're redoing our zoning ordinances. So we're reducing the number of parking spaces required downtown. So if you own a business, obviously we don't want to have a bunch of parking lots. We want to have lots of buildings close to each other with people walking and moving and not have it full of parking lots. We're trying to really ramp up our mixed use. So in other words, be more flexible with our zoning codes so that certainly we need people living down there. We need people who invest in buildings that they're going to put more, not only the retail side, but apartments, living sides. We talked about the council has been very, very anxious to have us move forward with an incentive program, especially for downtown. So we've initiated that process, and the bottom line to that is how do we get targeted incentives into downtown so people will redevelop their property, fix up their property, and have it occupied. And I will put a little shout out for my vice mayor, who is the liaison to Mr. Heemstra, now the chairman of Economic Vitality Commission. Wow, you're gonna give Tim a hand? No. So why is that important is because they're really starting to engage. They want to take an active role in a part of economic development. And I'm hoping, they've been talking about their work plan, but I'm very hopeful that they will take over ownership of downtown revitalization. I saw 2 thumbs up from them. So, and that's important because we always want, just like the chamber did such a great job ad hoc committing with us on our streamlining process, so would a commission for economic vitality in downtown. So our eyes are zooming in on downtown. We're trying to do some things code. We're going to bring some reduced fees for people wanting to develop, and we'll present that to council. But we also have a commission that's now focused, hopefully, on that as well. So a lot of movement. We're seeing Bambinos come in. Again, we have somebody like Cal Maritime moving in. So we are seeing movement, and it only keeps moving from building to building. So anybody that's got a building that's vacant, if you fill it, it's going to make it one more building for an active and a very exciting downtown.
So just as a quick follow-up to that, we're talking about downtown right now, but what are the tactics that are being used to bring business to Vallejo generally?
Slater, didn't you mention Slater? Where are you, Slater? Oh, you stay in the back. So I'll just give a couple quick comments. So we really, the city council, and I will say for me as your city manager, economic development, job creation, and revenue for our schools, for successful businesses, for this city is key. We have to have economic development in order to grow and be healthy. So we have doubled the size of the economic development department, whose only focus is to get projects done, to reach out, talk to people who are interested, and make sure they have somebody they can communicate directly with every single day that they want to work on a project here in Vallejo. So there's a lot of outreach when it comes to marketing. We've partnered with the Solano County EDC as far as they go out to different places. They advertise or market Solano County, but we now play an active role in that. There is a very significant technology we use to make sure we get into the Bay Area and to the Bay Area businesses with what's going on here and different opportunities. I think Solano 360 is a pretty example, the old fairgrounds. So that project, we partnered with the county, and at first we sent it out for proposals, and it seemed we weren't getting much interest. So the economic development group that works for your city hooked into something, a marketing strategy that touches nationwide. So we're able to get the right kind of people who do developments the size of 150 some acres that is, and get it right onto their computer screen. And so I am happy to say, and there'll be much more later between the county and the city, there's 4 proposals that we're very hopeful that we can move forward on one of them to see that part of our city develop too. So most of it has to do with marketing, it's personal connection, and then again, lots of touches into the Bay Area. We've seen 80 some articles actually written in the past year about Vallejo and economic development and business. So we think we're getting the word out that there's a lot of activity and optimism in Vallejo. But again, we're going to keep pushing it. So if you have something, I can tell you, call the economic development department. Their job is to work you through the process.
Anything to add, Mayor?
You know, I think Greg really hammered that one home. This is huge for our community. Economic development is our lifeblood. It's what's going to move Vallejo forward. And we're seeing it starting to happen all over our town. And as we move things forward, so does the quality of life. So do all the things that we as a community, that we as residents want for our town. So this is a real exciting time for Vallejo. We're seeing a lot of stuff move forward. And again, our pipeline is really just opened up. So I'm as a mayor, I'm really proud of what city staff is doing, what the council is approving. This is a good time for us.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to hop over to education for just 1 second here. State of the schools in Vallejo is not good, and an improvement in our schools is an investment in our youth, our future, and is key to attracting middle-class professional talent to Vallejo in the near term. What can the city government do to help the school district up the level of our schools?
The $1 million question. It really is. We have the superintendent of schools in the audience today, and we have always been in discussion with our school district about partnering, about moving things forward for our community, especially for our kids. Like I said, kids are our future, and what I see happening are things like trades academies, partnerships in interns, working and tutoring young people, getting them out into jobs that are going to be meaningful. We have a lot of good businesses that have come to Vallejo. Mare Island Dry Docks, for one. Chris and part of her team is here today. And they've taken a lot of these young people that have had difficulties and given them jobs. She's done second, third, and fourth chances for a lot of these young people. And I'm nothing but proud of what Mare Island Dry Docks is doing. So thank you. We also have a great educational system in our town. Our junior college, CMA, and Thoreau University. All these are opportunities for our young people to better themselves in the educational process and also getting themselves into better paying jobs that are sustainable for not only themselves, but for families. And as we move forward in our economic development, I truly believe that one of the things we'll see is, again, better housing, but coupled with that better housing will be more schools. And with the declining enrollment the way it is now, my hope is to see that we make the turn and that a lot of the young people start in our school district. I know that it is a difficult time for public schools as a whole, but I truly believe that we as a community have a lot to offer. Again, not only in our public school system, but in our charter schools and in our university systems. Greg, you have anything to add?
I'll be brief. So I will tell you that, I think you've hit on all three questions are the most important issues that we have to deal with as a community. When we talk to people about recruiting them to have a job and, are you going to live in the city? Well, I'm concerned about the education system. I'm concerned about crime. What does the education system need? Obviously, they're looking at closing schools, funding issues. You look at how do we improve after bankruptcy here as a city. Their funding issues, all driven through economic development, where you really want to get the money from. Those three are right on. So I would say to you is the city council, where youth is extremely important, and I'm looking out at the council members. Youth is very important, and we got a school district with education. We have GVRD that does recreation, and I've had recreation under me as a city manager before. That's not our core services, yet we have to do something to come in the middle and to work with these two partners. So the city council just approved someone to coordinate youth, a youth coordinator, so that we can start bridging the gap between what we see over the schools, what we see over GVRD, and how do we play a role in the middle of that as the city. And so you'll see that starting very soon. I happened to just meet today with the vice mayor and the Vallejo Education's Business Alliance today, and we talked about some programs, some ideas, the Vallejo Promise initiative. So I think that's the kind of roles we can start playing, is how do we support the education side, because it hurts us all when it comes to the education system. So stay tuned for that. We'll have a coordinator hired hopefully in the next 4 months. And then again, the goal is really work between the school districts, GVRD, and then we'll work with Vallejo Promise. I think that means a lot when we talk Vallejo Promise when it comes to our kids.
Thank you. Thank you. We're getting close to the end. There's one more question in particular I definitely want to hear from you on, and it's an issue that I think the mayor touched on in his address, and it's the homelessness issue. Homelessness is a growing problem in the city, and it doesn't fall to any one department or person to address. What steps are the city taking to create a task force of community people and agencies to create a more unified direction to help bring resources to this problem?
Excellent question, James. First and foremost, this isn't just one department working on the homeless, unsheltered issues. We as a community are working on this. There are a lot of volunteers in the faith community, good people that are out just wanting to help. But it has to be coordinated. And I'm very thankful for our housing division. Judy Shepherd Hall and our I'll call her what her title, our temporary housing, I'm sorry, Judy, homeless coordinator, Rachel Frederick VJ, who's been coordinating various programs around the community and trying to bring together those many service providers that are trying to aid our unsheltered population. You know, I also spoke about a partnership that we created with our 3 hospitals here in Vallejo, and they've contributed $7.1 million towards a navigation center that is being built that will be off of Sonoma Boulevard, that will house approximately 125 people with total wraparound services. And those services will include everything from mental health to narcotics issues, to substance abuse, to medical problems, dental problems, to helping them find jobs, for job training, job placement. And this service will be free of charge. The facilities will be patterned very similar to what San Francisco's done with their homeless outreach. And we'll be out in the community talking with the unsheltered, encouraging them to come to this shelter that we're trying to place. Well, not trying, that we are. Judy and Rachel are doing a phenomenal job of bringing this together, and they're concentrating on the entire community of the homeless population. Sadly, the numbers are up to around 600, and we're not going to be able to take care of all 600, because a lot of these folks are not going to want service. So those that do want the service, we'll be working with, as well as the faith community, which is present here in the room now. Our faith community has taken a lot of these folks under their wing, have given them shelter, food, clothing, and given them the services that they've needed. So we're also partnering with the county. We belong to a county task force. Supervisor Hannigan was in the audience, and she chairs one of those task forces that we're working with. And we are also looking for other funding through grants and federal funding to help with this real and now problem. Greg, do you have anything you want to add?
Just very briefly, so the council we did have a temporary consultant working for us on homelessness, trying to coordinate that, but the council did approve again last meeting, moving forward with a full-time position to start coordinating that. Again, that's not, we do housing, but we don't do homeless coordinate. That's a whole other activity, so we want to focus in on that. Mayor and council have asked that a work session be set up so we can really start talking about what about, all these people we see in their vehicles overnight? What about, moving from camp to camp? Because basically the law allows us to do one thing, and that's tell them to move, but it doesn't stop them from moving to another place, another location. So we really have to address this. I think the city's made some great steps at Navigation Center. Mostly it's just the big cities getting that, and great job by staff and by the council to actually see that happen. So in March or early April, we'll actually have a study session with the council. We'll kind of start going over what are our alternatives. And what you're starting to see in a lot of places, people creating parking lots where people can park. And so it's just, how do we find a way to deal with them camping out in our backyards, along our railroad tracks and our wetlands? Only thing we can do is we provide the services. We tell them, here's services, but we need you to move. A few of them take up the option on the services. Most of them just move, and then another neighborhood's impacted in that. So again, we're going to do a work session. Navigation Center is a great start, but there's more that we just absolutely have to do. It is a #1 issue. When we've talked to you and we did some survey, community survey, that you raised when we called you, and you said homelessness is the biggest issue. And yes, it's about the person, but it's also about our quality of life. There are issues on both sides of that we have to be able to address. So we're going to have a coordinator, the Navigation Center, and thirdly, this council has made it a priority, and we'll have a work session here in March and April, so stay tuned for that.
Thank you very much. There are a number more questions that I wish we could get to, but as I'm looking at the clock, it is just about 1:30, and I want to be mindful of everybody's time. I do want to remind you there are cards on your table. If there's a question you'd like to have answered, please fill these out, leave them on your table. We'll come back and we'll pick them all up and make sure that they get them to the city. So thank you very much, Mayor and City Manager, for answering our questions today. Let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
As we're finishing up here, I do want to give you one more video before we go. Thank you again to everybody for being at the 2020 State of the City. Please get home safely. Again, thank you to Medic Ambulance, our presenting sponsors, all that were here today, all that contributed. We appreciate it. We'll see you in 2021. Take care.